Hi, let's talk about the table topics master role. If you remember what it was like when you first came to a meeting as a guest or as a new member, having to speak in this impromptu way where you have no preparation can be very, very intimidating and fear-provoking. So when we're the table topics master, I think it's very important to keep this in mind. Keep in mind that you're setting people up for an experience that allows them to try something new and not to make it too complicated. When you are given the lectern or the virtual lectern in Zoom meetings by the Toastmaster, it's important to start with a few things to share with the club, done in a clear and concise way. We don't want to take a lot of time away from the opportunity for people to speak, but there's information that's important to pass along. First thing you want to say is, why do we do table topics? You can talk briefly about the value of impromptu speaking for real life, like in elevators or in job interviews, that kind of thing. Secondly, it's important to review the timing. The timer will have talked about timing for prepared speeches right at the beginning of the meeting. By the time we get to table topics, it's past the break and anybody new is not going to remember the timing. So that needs to be reviewed. The timer can work in conjunction with you and you say, you have approximately two minutes for table topics. At 1 minute, you'll see the green light go on. At 1 minute, 30 seconds, you'll see the amber light or yellow light go on. At 2 minutes, the red light goes on. And then the psychedelic background will go on at 2 minutes, 30 seconds. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on the timing lights and wrap things up. And thirdly, just the basic approach. Again, if you're a guest, you have no idea how to do this. So you might say briefly, and the way you may want to structure this is, Madam Table Topics Master. Repeat the question, come up with a body and a finishing sentence, and then end it with Madam Table Topics Master. So to me, if you cover the reason we do them, the timing lights, and a very general structure, which is the salutation beginning and end, body in the middle, at least people have something to go on. In terms of your actual table topics, I was thinking this morning about learning how to drive. And there's a lot to think about. So ideally, when you learn how to drive, you'll be in a parking lot somewhere where there's nobody around, maybe with an automatic car. So you don't have too much to think about. That's the way good table topics should be, is easy and simple and not complicated. When people try to get too creative with table topics, it's like learning to drive on with a manual stick shift in traffic with a lot of loud music or something. It's just too hard. So I know table topics masters sometimes like to get creative, but what you need to remember is that this is for the value and the growth of the club members, not to show how creative and innovative you are, unless you can do both. And sometimes that's possible. Some of our table topics masters have used one word for table topics. So the speaker is given, this is your word. That gives a speaker a lot of opportunity to explore that word, perhaps maybe too much opportunity. Sometimes it might be overwhelming, like, where do I begin? A short phrase can be helpful as well. I think it takes a little bit of skill and sensitivity really to be a good, effective table topics master. And one way that you can judge that, I think, is how long people talk for the most part. So if you have table topics where nobody gets past about a minute or a minute and a half, yes, it may be that they're inexperienced speakers, or maybe the question just didn't speak to them. You want to avoid questions with a yes, no answer. Like, Did you vote today? Do you like hockey? That kind of thing, those are not good. You want to come up with open-ended questions, ideally on the theme of the meeting, and something that is going to be something that the speaker can actually answer, that is not too intimidating. The other thing that you can mention as well in your introduction is if somebody gets a topic that is completely out of their depth, the point is that you want to stay up and speak for 2 minutes or as close to 2 minutes as possible. And it's very legitimate to say, well, I don't know anything about the military in Iraq, but what I do know about is how important my neighborhood is to me, or something like that. So the speaker can talk about whatever they like, especially a new speaker, just for the experience of getting up and as time goes on, organizing their thoughts into something coherent. So I hope that's helpful. Really, the bottom line, keep it simple. Keep your introduction concise and short. Don't waste a bunch of time on that. Clear, good topics. Don't waste a lot of time. Like, let me just see here now. If I want to share my screen here, that stuff takes so much time. So be organized ahead of time if you're sharing your screen, so you can just open it and on to the next thing. And that way, all 6 people will have an opportunity to speak, and there will be more benefit for the club as a whole. I wish you well. Thanks for watching.